Good afternoon. I would like to welcome you on behalf of I-BiDaaS BigDataStack and Track and Know Consortium. I would like to welcome you to this Big Data Pilot Demo Days series of webinar. My name is Desmina Kopanaki. I am a project coordinator at the Foundation for Research and Technology in Greece. Fourth is the I-BiDaaS project coordinator. First of all, I do hope that you are all healthy and safe in these difficult times. And I would like to thank you for being here with us. So for today, we have the pleasure to present to you the I-BiDaaS project and its application to the financial sector. Before that, we would like to say a few words about this collaboration between I-BiDaaS BigDataStack and Track and Know, and this series of webinars under Big Data Value PPP. For this, today with us is Marik Williams from Trust IT, representing BigDataStack. Marik, good afternoon. We are very happy to have you here with us, and also happy for this collaboration. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Despina. Could I ask for the next slide then? Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm Marik Williams from Trust IT. I'm involved in the dissemination of the BigDataStack project. And in this capacity, we looked for collaboration. So why? So the BDV PPP Summit 2020 went virtual. This really provided a new way of thinking. We had to reinvent our plans for the BDV PPP Summit, but it also provided very nice opportunities, which this is the first edition of the Big Data Pilot Demo Days. Can I ask for the next slide? So why Big Data Pilot Demo Days, you're asking? So the new data-driven industrial revolution highlights the need for innovative big data technologies to unlock the potential in various application domains. So this is why we're doing this series. So the projects that have joined forces, so I-BiDaaS, BigDataStack, Track and Know, we all deliver innovative technologies to address these emerging needs in a wide variety of data operations and applications. And really to fully exploit the sustainability of these developed technologies in each of our projects, we onboarded pilots. And these pilots exhibit the applicability in a wide variety of sectors. So today we have the financial sector, but we also have examples of retail, shipping, telecom. So there's really this wide variety that we would like to share with you. In their third and final year, all of these projects are already ready to demonstrate the developed and implemented technologies. So this is why we want to show this to you and to interested end users from the industry and the technology providers, so that we can ensure further adoption of these technologies. So the next slide will show you who is really joining forces here. So these are the BDV PPP projects that are joining forces. This is BigDataStack, it's I-BiDaaS, and Track and Know. BigDataStack is working on a holistic stack for big data applications and operations. I-BiDaaS, industrial-driven big data as a self-service solution, and Track and Know is developing big data for mobility tracking knowledge extraction in urban areas. So you can see here that we're joining forces to showcase the application in the wide variety of different sectors. So together we also contribute, obviously, with not only with the technologies, but also the implementation in our different pilots to the digital future of Europe. So this is an overview of the series that we're developing. So today, the first to kick off this series is the I-BiDaaS application to the financial sector. But you can see that we have already quite a few in line. But we really want to ask you to check the BDV PPP webinar webpage, where the updated information is constantly added and updated as we go. So Thank you for inviting us. Despina, over to you.
Thank you, Marik. Before we start the webinar, allow me to say a few things, few practical advices regarding the questions. You can use the Q&A button. You can type your question during the whole time of the webinar. There is also the option to raise the hand. So do not hesitate to pose your questions. Our speakers would be happy to reply at the end of their presentations. Before that, we would like to ask you a few things and know a little bit more about the background of the audience that we have today. By now, you have seen a window. We do have 4 questions. You can click, and at the end, you can submit your replies. So the first question, to which of our stakeholder type do you belong? Big data provider, big data technology provider, finance and insurance sector, research and academia, policymakers, standardization body, or any other? Second question, are you working with big data? Yes or no options. Are you interested in big data technologies to optimize your customer experience? Yes, no, or maybe. And the last question, what is the main barrier or risk preventing you from implementing big data analytical solutions in your organization? Costs, lack of experience, uncertain value. So let's give you a few seconds. Andrea, I think we are receiving replies.
Yes, Despina. So people is replying to our poll. As now we are at the 44% replies. So the 44% of the audience replied to our questions. So I would say to wait a few more seconds.
Great.
It's quite quick to reply to this kind of poll, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I can say again, a lot of people comes from the research and academic sector,
mm-hmm.
but we also have industries here in the audience.
That's great. What about, are they working with big data?
So yeah, more than the 80% of people in the audience work with big data. And of course, nobody is not interested in optimize their customer experience. So all of them are interested. And this is a great news. There is a very even distribution of replies among the last question. So the one on the barrier. So it's 21%, 47%, 32% among cost, lack of expertise, and uncertain value. So yeah, the reasons are several and quite even distributed.
Great. So should we close this poll?
Yeah, I'm closing the poll down. Thank you everybody for the participation, and let's begin our webinar.
Thank you, Andrea, for your support. Let's go over today's agenda. First of all, we are going to present an overview of the I-BiDaaS project. Then we will present the CaixaBank's requirements, a scientific and technical view of the I-BiDaaS architecture, and how we successfully managed to address the requirements set by CaixaBank. Then we will present the I-BiDaaS solution in a step-by-step fashion demonstration and its application to the banking sector. And at the end, we plan to have the Q&A session. So without any further delay, let me introduce you today's speakers. We're happy to have here today with us Dr. Dušan Jakovetić. Dušan is an assistant professor at the Department of Mathematics and Informatics, University of Novi Sad, Serbia. And he's also the I-BiDaaS Scientific and Technical Manager. And the second speaker is Dr. Ramon Martin de Pozuelo. He's project manager at the Security Innovation Transformation team in CaixaBank. So I will stop sharing, and Dušan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Despina. My name is Dušan Jakovetić, and I'm from University of Novi Sad, Serbia. Let me give you a quick overview of the I-BiDaaS project. This is the identity card of I-BiDaaS project. We are a consortium of 13 partners with a total budget of a little bit less than 5 million. We started in January 2018, which means that we are at about 6 months before the project end. The full project name is Industrial Driven Big Data as a Self-Service Solution. This is a research and innovation type project, which means that we are interested both in research, but also in driving this research somewhere closer to the market. And here you can find our links to various media. Our consortium, as I said, is 13 partners, and this is a well-balanced consortium between universities, research institutes, large and small industries. So in particular, we have Ford from Greece, which is the project coordinator. We have Barcelona Supercomputing Center, IBM Israel, CRF, which is a Fiat's research center, Software AG, CaixaBank, University of Manchester, Bond School from France, which is a business school, Atos, Spain, Aegis, which is an SME from UK, ITML, another SME from Greece, University of Novi Sad, and Telefonica Research from Spain. A little bit about motivation of the I-BiDaaS project. So I-BiDaaS project, as some other BDV PPP project, is linked with European data economy and tries in a certain way to provide research and innovation that will improve European data economy. There are several challenges or barriers that need to be resolved in order for us to make a success. I would like to highlight a couple of them, which I think are key for I-BiDaaS. So the first one is lack of talent, or in other words, several companies in various sectors in EU have available big data that, if harnessed properly, can get significant benefits, like, for example, improve operational efficiency, reduce costs, etc. But currently, either it's very costly to hire experts, or the technologies are so diverse and complex that it is not very easy to harness value from big data. Another major challenge that we see in I-BiDaaS is the silos, the data silos that exist, both within a single company, within a single sector, or across multiple sectors of industry. And so if these silos were broken successfully, then we can harness the value from big data. And this also connects to the vision of the I-BiDaaS project. There are several important dimensions. I will focus on 3 of them, which kind of address the previous challenges that I mentioned. So the first thing that I would like to mention is that I-BiDaaS is proposing a big data as a self-service solution, which means that our big data technologies are designed in such a way that can be used in-house by domain experts from specific industries. And so the industrial companies can, in a more direct and in a more easy way, harness the value from big data. Another point that I would like to make is that through several technologies and through several activities within the project, I-BiDaaS is successfully breaking silos in different sectors. And finally, a third point is that I-BiDaaS is providing a complete and safe environment for methodological big data experimentation. And specifically, I-BiDaaS is focused on 3 sectors, banking, manufacturing, and telecom, while the ideas can be applied to other sectors as well. With this in mind, I would like to make the project statement for I-BiDaaS. So basically, I'm going to read this slide. with reference to what we mentioned before. So I-BiDaaS aims to empower users to easily utilize and interact with big data technologies, and this is the self-service part, by designing, building, and demonstrating a unified framework that significantly increases the speed of data analysis while coping with the rate of data asset growth and facilitates cross-domain data flow, which corresponds to breaking the silos towards a thriving data-driven EU economy. I-BiDaaS will be tangibly validated by 3 real-world industry-led experiments, and here we mean banking, manufacturing, and telecom. A few more words about I-BiDaaS application and different experimentation processes. So as I mentioned before, there are 3 key sectors, which are banking, telecom, and manufacturing for I-BiDaaS. This is also an opportunity to invite you to follow subsequent webinars. Today we are focusing on the financial banking sector, while next seminars will talk in more detail about our demos in telecom and manufacturing industries. And my final slide for the introduction is meant here to say that even though the project I-BiDaaS focuses on the 3 sectors, its technologies and results can be applied to multiple and to other sectors, like, for example, healthcare and many others. Thank you. I would now like to pass talking to Ramon, who is going to say more about the specific requirements within I-BiDaaS in the banking sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Dušan. You have to stop your sharing. If okay, thank you. Okay. So as Dušan said, one of the sectors that we have been working in I-BiDaaS was in the financial sector. I am part of the Security Innovation and Transformation team in the Information Security and Governance Department in CaixaBank. So even if financial sector could be also wider, we can have wider use cases. We focus them especially on the security of the bank. Okay, just to contextualize a little bit about them. Okay. To explain a little bit more about the use cases, of ourselves. CaixaBank is the leading financial group in Spain. Okay, we are leaders in retail banking, and we have around 14 million customers with 32K employees. We have a lot of different information that comes from different channels, online banking, mobile banking, the ATMs, the credit cards from the customers, the information from the employees, the operations that they are doing. So with all this information, in January 2014, we created our big data department that tries to work with all this amount of information that is increasing every day, and we have a huge infrastructure for managing all of it. Okay, we manage 1.2 terabytes of information, and it's increasing day by day. So with all these channels, all this information that we are having and managing, we are managing them internally. And we have to think about that. We are a very regulated sector. Okay, so it's also very important to remark that, because we manage very sensitive information, and that's actually one of our challenge, because we have tons of data, but it's confidential, and we are not the real owners of the data. Our customers are the owners of this data, because it's normally their data. And we have a lack of agility in the management of all this data because, as I said, it's a huge infrastructure. Well, it's very complex to manage all of it, and we are doing it well. But at some point, it could be more agile, and that's one of the things that that we want to focus on in I-BiDaaS. Because we should have all these security procedures and constraints. I come from the security department, and I'm totally aware of that, and I'm checking that. But at the same time, we acknowledge that they hinder and slow down the data sharing processes, and it's something that it should be fostered in order to be more innovative and to be competitive against other entities, other enterprises that are getting in the financial sector, like the big techs and the fintechs. So the challenges and the requirements that we have for our use cases are especially the data privacy. We want to share data, but we want to do it being compliant with regulation, okay, with the GDPR, but we also have the EBA guidelines that we have to follow them for those security guidelines that they recommend us. PSD2, some of the regulations that we have to comply. And the other requirement was that we wanted to focus especially on this fraud and security analytics. Okay, but this is something that we wanted to improve. So what we really wanted with the I-BiDaaS platform and I-BiDaaS project, the benefit that we expect from was to exploit this platform to gain agility, efficiency, flexibility in the analytics of this data for security especially, but it could be then extended to other departments. Okay, so going a little bit more into depth on those requirements, we wanted to break those cross-sectoral data silos, but as I said, complying with regulation. Okay, data sharing models with other financial institutions would be very beneficial, not only to us, but to all the sector, to the whole sector. And we want to do that, and we want to explore ways to do this, to share those models for finding, for example, fraudulent accounts in a collaborative way with other financial institutions. But it could be also extended to other sectors, telecommunication sectors, any other sectors that we have synergies and we have common clients. Would be very nice to have those type of collaboration and exchange of data. But at the same time, as I said, it's very complicated to do so, being compliant with the GDPR and other regulations about data privacy and security. And especially in our case, we have our regulator that is checking all the things that we are doing, and we're being very strict on how we present the things that we are doing, and they are evaluating, and they can also stop some project that we have if they said that we are not demonstrating that it's secure enough, or that we are demonstrating that we maintain the whole privacy of our clients. Okay. With regards also to the infrastructure, we have this huge infrastructure, as I said. Okay, but at some point probably we want to have to be more innovative, to adapt new solutions that they are appearing day by day, in order to be that competitive as other sectors. And this is very difficult to integrate those new technologies in our current infrastructure in an agile way. Okay, we can do it, but it takes a long time to test and to test the performance and to integrate those technologies. And if we could have ways to test those technologies externally with our data, okay, in order to see how they are performing with our data, then we can evaluate it and then integrate it afterwards in our infrastructure in a much more secure and a previously assessed way. Okay. And finally, as I have remarked as well, we should be fast, we should be agile, and we should be more adaptive to new trends, to new technologies that they are appearing. We have been awarded as one of the most innovative banks in Western Europe, but they are those fintechs, those big techs that are coming into the financial sector, and well, they are innovative, and they are more innovative than that we are, and more adaptive. So we have to be prepared for that as well. And it also helps to avoid any vendor lock-in also, and to be well, more open to other technologies. Okay, apart of, for sure, reducing reducing the cost and time of the data analytics that we are using right now. Okay, so right now, Dušan, I will let the token to Dušan, who will explain a little bit more about the I-BiDaaS solution and infrastructure and architecture, and then we will go into depth on those use cases and the pilot that we have been working in the financial sector.
Thank you, Ramon. So I'm going to briefly present the I-BiDaaS solution from the end user's perspective, what it offers to end users, sort of from the front end, but I'm going to also present it from the back end, what kind of background technologies we are involving and using to make this solution useful for the users. And I'm going to try to link this solution with the challenges, requirements from the banking sector that Ramon talked about. And I'm going to mention some innovations, some technical innovations of the I-BiDaaS project. So what you can see here at the slide is a classical big data pipeline where you have the users that have certain data, they analyze their data and receive some results, visualize results, etc. But I'm going to focus on some key aspects of the I-BiDaaS solution that distinguishes it from other similar big data end-to-end models. So on the user side, the I-BiDaaS solution offers a high degree of flexibility. Namely, we provide several modes of operation depending on the level of technical knowledge that the user has. So we have an expert mode that is meant for expert big data developers that can upload and develop their own big data code. We have a self-service mode that is meant for data scientists that, based on the domain problem, are able to select a predefined algorithm for the given application. And we have a co-developed mode for in-house company employees that do not have a very detailed technical knowledge, so they develop their own application with the help of I-BiDaaS team. On the side of the data, we have several possibilities like data fabrication. So we have the tool provided by IBM that can fabricate realistic synthetic data. And this helps in many situations. For example, when due to sensitive nature of the data, the raw real data cannot be shared. Or it helps in certain cases in early development stages when not sufficient real data is available. And similarly, we are also considering the technology of tokenizing the data. On the side of analytics, we support both batch and streaming, and then on the result, we allow for visualizing the results and sharing the models. Now, with respect to the banking sector challenges, these specific technologies of data fabrication, data tokenization help in breaking silos, because the realistic synthetic data or the tokenized data can be shared more effectively across different partners or companies and similar. For the self-service dimension or challenge, where we want to involve the in-house company domain experts to directly interact with big data technologies, we have this flexible solution, and in particular the self-service mode and the co-developed mode of the solution. So this is how we can address this challenge. Now, I would like to say a few more words about the experimental workflow, prototypical experimental workflow of I-BiDaaS. And this is a kind of a three-step procedure, abstracting some details, where first we either fabricate or tokenize the data internally at the company's premises. Then once we have the fabricated or tokenized data, we can offload this data to external premises. And then we play, experiment with different solutions in the second step. Once we are satisfied with the solution, we deploy the solution back at local premises on real data. And this process, this experimental workflow, is helping to make the agility, the big data technologies more agile that Ramon was talking about, because usually the internal resources of companies like banks are occupied for current operational and business practices, and it is very beneficial to be able to experiment on external premises, because this can save a lot of time and cost and make the technology more agile and efficient. Now, having said that, I would like to mention the I-BiDaaS solution from the back end. So what you can see on the slide is a complex picture which describes what kind of technologies we have that support the big data pipeline that I described before. I would like to break it down according to work packages of I-BiDaaS and basically say a few words what we have with respect to technologies, not so much how everything works. So on the side of data user interface and visualization, we have the TDF tool by IBM for data fabrication. We have the universal messaging by Software AG, which is a message broker that makes available the data to other components of the platform. And we have the Aegis advanced visualization toolkit that enables advanced visualizations. On the side of batch analytics, we have several technologies. First, the Barcelona Supercomputing Center COMPS programming model. The Barcelona Supercomputing Hecuba data management system and the QBIS data indexing system. And in the COMPS programming framework within the project, we are making implementations of parallel machine learning algorithms. This is mainly done by University of Novi Sad, but also other partners of the project. On the side of the streaming analytics, we have the complex event processing tool by Software AG and the GPU accelerated analytics by Fort. And finally, on the side of resource management and integration, we have Atos, who is providing the resource management tools, and the ITML provides integration services of the platform. All of these integrated technologies are offering several technological innovations that I'm going to briefly describe, also highlighting the impact that they make on the banking sector with respect to the experience by the CaixaBank. So the data fabrication capabilities, which allow to fabricate realistic synthetic data, have the effect in a much faster proof of concept development of new big data technologies, so that we have the time reduction from 3 months to 1 to 2 weeks. The solution flexibility, here we refer to the flexible solution from the end user's perspective with the different modes of operation, expert self-service and co-develop, that allows for a significant reduction in time of analyzing data. So we are measuring 3 to 4 less time to analysis. Other innovations that you can also see in our public deliverables are the easy to code programming paradigm, high code usability, synergy of complex event processing, and GPU accelerated analytics for streaming. Then we have the feedback from analytics to data fabrication and to problem modeling. And all of this has been demonstrated on multiple use cases across the 3 different sectors. Finally, I would like to present how the I-BiDaaS integrated architecture is specialized to one CaixaBank use case. Here specifically, we're talking about the use case where we want to infer the relationships between the bank users based on the IP addresses they connect to. And Ramon is going to say more details about this use case. Just to describe in brief the technology architecture picture that we have here. So on the batch processing side, we are learning from the data the relationships between the users, between the bank users, so that later on the stream processing side, in real time, we can inspect the real-time transactions and see whether the transaction corresponds to the users that are in a relationship or to the users that are not in a relationship, and based on that, infer potential fraud. And with all of this, I would like just to reinforce the message that we can see some numbers and some impact of this solution to the CaixaBank use case, so that the data fabrication offers a 75% time reduction for data access by external stakeholders, and this is and we can link this to the technology components that you see on the right hand side. So for example, so this can be linked to DDF. Then the real-time analytics allows for detecting relations of users in real time, and this can be linked to the stream processing components like APAMA complex event processing engine. And finally, on the solution flexibility with the 3 different modes of operation, expert, co-develop, and self-service, we actually showed that the quality of the solution is improved with respect to what was available before the project. Now, with this high-level idea of the architecture, Ramon is going to present a demo in a step-by-step fashion for the concrete use cases of the CaixaBank. So I would like to ask Ramon to present this in more details. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Dušan. I will share my screen. Okay. Okay, going a little bit more into depth on the pilot that we have been running in I-BiDaaS about the financial sector. I have to explain that, as I said, all the life cycle of our data or our data analytics right now, it was everything done in our infrastructure, and it was that way. We have our data pool, that is the infrastructure where we store all the data that we have, all our big data. We do the data exploration, we create the data models and queries, and then once all is analyzed, it is put in production and is reanalyzed and stored in our data pool. Okay, so that's how we work, but that's very fixed actually, and very rigid. And what we wanted to explore in I-BiDaaS is if we can do some parts of it outside our premises. This will give us more agility, more flexibility for doing big data analytics. So at the beginning, what we thought is that we will use only fabricated data. If you remember, Dušan said that we can fabricate data with I-BiDaaS solution, with some of the tools, and the other option will be to tokenize and create the data and get it outside of our premises in the I-BiDaaS platform in the cloud as a self-service solution for big data analytics, and then do all the analytics and visualization outside our premises, extract those algorithms and apply them inside our premises, okay, and store them in our data pool. That will flexibilize a little bit our life cycle of our data. So as I said at the beginning, what we thought was just to focus on the fabricated data, and all our use cases would be with fabricated data. But at some point, we change our mind and we start looking for other options, other approaches for sharing data. And this is the initial use cases that we had at the beginning of I-BiDaaS. Okay, we proposed 4 use cases with all of them using synthetic data, but we slightly changed them. And because of some of them were duplicated to use synthetic and tokenized data, at the end we did these 3 use cases. Okay, I will show you today 2 of them. Okay, the advanced analytics of bank transfers done from the financial terminal of our employees, and the analysis of relationships through IP address. Okay, I will go into that on them afterwards, but those are the ones that we have done. With synthetic data, we only work on the first use case that we did, that it was the analysis of relationships through IP address. But then we repeat this use case with real tokenized data, and then we did the other 2 use cases also with real tokenized data. By tokenized data, what I mean is that we encrypt the data, and then we maintain the keys for decrypting this data inside our premises. So the only thing that we share is the data encrypted, and outside our premises, without those keys that we are saving, it's impossible to decrypt this data. So we are maintaining the data privacy of these data sets, but at the same time, what we are looking for is to encrypt this data in ways that you can even do some data analytics outside our premises. I will explain afterwards. In any case, you can also write your questions in the question and answer panel. So if you want to start writing them down, so afterwards we can go into that on those questions, and I will answer them. So focus on this use case. That was the first one that we did for our MVP. What we focused here was to find relationships between people, between our customers, taking into account their IP connections. So what we wanted really is to know people that live together or work together that has a close relationship. So now they know each other. Okay. Why the bank wants to know that? That's not because we want to control yourself. That's because it will help us to verify if bank transfer done between 2 customers could be a potential fraudulent bank transfer or not. If we can assess previously to this bank transfer that these 2 people know each other, it's very uncommon that it could be a fraudulent bank transfer. Okay, so what we did is to generate this fabricated data based on the rules and the characteristics of our real data of users connecting to our online banking, and then use this generated data that is non-sensitive to extract it to the I-BiDaaS platform in the cloud, and do the analytics And then once we have these relationships between the clients, then we come back to CaixaBank, and we can use them for analyzing these bank transfers. I will go now through the I-BiDaaS platform to show you live, actually, this use case. As Dušan has said, we have different modes of operation for the users: expert mode, self-service mode, and in the co-develop mode, we put those use cases that we have been working during the project together for custom tailor algorithms with the partners. In that case, that's what we did. We built this custom tailor algorithm to find exactly those people that has common connections, because it was not only to match those people that have the same IP, but they repeat these connections in time, and they are not a huge amount of people connecting from the same IP. That would mean, for example, a library or other public hotspot. That doesn't mean that these people know each other. Okay, so it's a custom tailor algorithm that we put there for finding those relationships. You can see here in this use case that you can select from fabricated data or tokenized data. So you can select to fabricate a new data set based on this test data fabrication tool from IBM, or you can go for tokenized data and upload your own tokenized data set. And I will go to a use case, an experiment that I have already run, just to go quicker. Proceed. So you will find here that for this data set, we have around 24,000 people that don't know each other, no other clients, but we have around 4,000 people that has one connection to another client, and around 700 or 800 that know two different clients, and so on. Okay, so but this is just a graphic for having a first glance of our data set and the relationship that we can find in our data set. But the interesting thing will be to look for exactly those relationships, and that's where you can download the file. And here you can find this file that I have downloaded. And here, for example, this client has relationships with two different clients, and so on. Okay, so you have the relationships of the different clients. And then what is it useful for? As I said, if you run the stream processing, in which, well, I have already run it also for going faster. But what we are doing here is streaming new bank transfers that we are receiving from our channels, okay, and analyzing if we find those clients in these bank transfers. If we find the relationships that we have analyzed before in the batch processing, if we found those relationships here. So, for example, a bank transfer from this client to this client is automatically validated because these people know each other. Okay, so we don't have to do any further steps for validating these bank transfers. Okay, so they are safe. And if you click some of these users, you can also get the graph of the connections with the other clients. So you can have a further information of this client and who to whom is connected. Okay, so this is the first use case, and as I said, we analyze this use case at first with fabricated data and then with real data. Why we change our mind and start using start approaching other options like this tokenized data. It was because in this rule-based generation, rule-based fabrication of data, at the end, if you want to do big data analytics, the algorithms will find, what we'll find is exactly the same rules that you have defined the data, that you have used for defining the data. So why this could be useful, and I go again to the presentation, sorry, here. What is useful for then, if you will only find these rules that you have used for defining your data? So it was useful because it was very realistic data that helps you also to test new technologies and the performance of the new technologies outside your premises without the rigidity of your premises. But well, yeah, it will have to deploy this proof of concept in a very quick way. Okay, without the dependency on your premises. So you can test new technologies in a much more agile and effective way because you are using the same data that you have. But you cannot extract new insights. Okay, that's the point. Also, if you want new users to access the data and have start working and training new users with this data, you can also use this data. Okay, but at the end, they will not find anything that you didn't know in advance. Okay, that was the point. So we wanted to do real big data analytics and extract new information that we didn't have. And that's why we thought that we should start sharing data, sharing real data. But how we can do it without breaking GDPR and other regulations that we are linked. We analyze different ways to encrypt this data that we have, the data set that we have, depending on the type of field. Why? Because if we have, for example, a text field, we want to compare this text field even encrypted. We want to compare it with other similar text fields. Okay, so we want to have a way to encrypt it and being able to compare text fields even encrypted. So we need one way to doing it in the tokenized data. If we have numerical data, we want also to compare it. So we need a different algorithm as well to encrypt this data and being able to compare this numerical data outside our premises, encrypted. And if we have any other information, categorical information, in this case, you can directly has a format preserving encryption, for example, or if you have more information than this categorical, you have to split the different this field into different fields and then hash them separately in order to not lose information. So we describe this in our pilot. And as I said, this tokenized approach, we use it for the second and the third use case that we have been working in the financial pilot. And the second use case, we wanted to analyze anomalies in the bank transfers that are done by our customers in name of the client. When a client goes to the bank office and order a bank transfer, and then is executed by our employee. Okay, so that was the point. What we did is to collect all the contextual information of those bank transfers, identifying not only information of the inner information of the bank transfer, but also information of the client, information of the employee, of the bank office, and putting all together and analyzing in this big table all this information, encrypting them in the different algorithms, encryption algorithms that I said, and externally in I-BiDaaS, uploading this dataset to I-BiDaaS without decrypting the data, so the data is still encrypted, and you cannot access to the sensitive data we did the advanced analytics in I-BiDaaS. And that's what we offered I-BiDaaS as well, a part of, a part of the visualization that I showed you before, the basic visualization. We have an advanced visualization for some use cases, and here you find this advanced visualization where you find this data set of bank transfers that we have clusterized in order to find those anomalies. The small clusters that are identified, you can, for example, select some of them, okay, that is separated, isolated subset of bank transfers, and then okay, this is the data set that I have selected. I can extract this data set, and that will be the anomalies that I have found with these algorithms that are already in the I-BiDaaS platform for clustering and finding anomalies. What we have done with this is to send them to our security operating center in order to double check if those are fraudulent bank transfer or not. It wasn't clear, actually, and I have to be honest, but even that, it was useful for us because it could be bad practice, it could be really fraudulent bank transfers, it could be rare bank transfers that we have to double check, and in any case, it will enhance our levels of security to be aware of these rare bank transfers. Okay, and I go again to the presentation just to finalize it. What we have done as well is to compare the usage of I-BiDaaS as a self-service solution in the cloud for big data analytics with a solution that a commercial solution that we have in CaixaBank, that is Data Robot. And I will show you as well, if you are not aware of Data Robot. Okay, yeah. So this is the same data set we uploaded it to Data Robot, and we find different anomaly detection, and we send them to our security operator center as well. But if you can see here, here's the score for this anomaly detection, and it was very continuous, so it wasn't able to find really anomalies here. And if you go to the hotspots graphic, it is well very difficult to find those anomalies, even if you go for here. So the results and the conclusion that we got on those comparison with Data Robot was that Data Robot was not able to do your own code, to do this expert mode that I-BiDaaS provides. Not even allows you to change the score metrics of different columns of different fields. For example, if you want to do your own scoring, your own comparison between text columns, okay, between text fields, and it's very limited for unsupervised learning and clustering. Okay, it has many different algorithms, benchmark of algorithms, but very focused on supervised, and it lacks of this unsupervised learning. And the solution that I-BiDaaS provide to us for this unsupervised learning was slightly better. So, and this final conclusion with the real tokenized data, what has done for us is that it allowed us to establish the environment, the testing environment for big data analytics tools outside our CaixaBank premises, not only for testing the performance of the big data analytics tools in terms of efficiency, but also to compare with between different big data analytics tools in the results that we got in extracting new information. and also allowed us to open our data to a wider community. Even if it's encrypted, it's allowed to share this. Well, it allows us to share this data, and it has information there that could be also very useful for others, for the academia and other sectors also, to analyze this data. Even if it's encrypted, you can extract some information that could be important for your sector. Okay, so I finished my presentation here. Oh, well, sorry. Just a summary table with some of the benefits that we got and that Dušan has also commented. And now I finish my presentation here. I will stop sharing. Okay, yeah. And I let the word now to my colleagues.
Thank you, Ramon. Do you have the final slides, or maybe I can share?
Yeah, yes, please.
Give me a second. Marik, are you with us? I think before going to the questions and answers, let's see what is coming up.
Hi, yes.
Give me one more second and I will share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Despina.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. Just to point you to the fact that you can already start putting in your questions while I'll walk you through the next Big Data Pilot Demo Day. The next demo is going to be the BigDataStack Connected Consumer. So I'll run you very quickly through the slides just to give you an idea of what's coming up and to give you some room for the questions and answers that I'm sure you'll have for Ramon and Dušan. I'll give you the non-technical introduction to this connected consumer demo. So we just saw the I-BiDaaS application for the financial sector, where big data is showcased as a self-service solution that empowers the employees of the CaixaBank in this case. For the BigDataStack Connected Consumer, the use case offers retailers the real-time services to improve the customer experience. So the challenges that we're looking at there to solve are seamless analysis of heterogeneous data sources, real-time decision-making, and process improvement. So for example, product replacement. So in the next slide, I'll show you what that means for the actual customer in the store. So that means that you'll have personalized promotions, predictive shopping lists, and product recommendations, so that we could do some cross-selling and product replacement for you when you need that. So in the next slide, we see the expected impacts. So this is where retailers' offers are going to be more attractive, customer shopping experience is going to be improved, and the return on investment of marketing campaigns will increase. And the next slide. These are the technical and business KPIs that the use case will answer. And then the next slide will show you what the BigDataStack experts will actually show you. So this is an image of the data visualization, which will be live demoed in next week in the Big Data Pilot Demo Day of BigDataStack Connected Consumer on the 28th of May at 2 Central European time. So that's it from my side. Just to give you an overview of the Big Data Value Virtual Summit webinars. Here's some of them that you should put in your agenda. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you, Marik. So let's open the floor for question and answers. Andrea, can you please help me on this?
Hello, Despina, yes. So,
okay, so
all the attendees, all the attendees have a panel on the bottom of their screen with Q&A visitors. So they just need to click there and they can put directly their questions.
Great. So if you have any questions, we will be more than happy to reply. You can raise your hand, press the button, and we can do that live. We'll unmute you. First, I would like to thank Dušan and Ramon for their engaging talks. Very interesting and detailed, and also for the demonstration of the I-BiDaaS solution. I would also like to thank you guys from Trust IT for supporting us. One more thing that I would like to discuss is that we would like your feedback. In the chat box, you will see a link. If you press it, it will only take a few minutes and your feedback is more than valuable for us. So just a few questions to help us to improve, since we still have, let's say, 6 more months on this project, 7. So, since I do not see any question, I can see now. So let me read the question. Did you perhaps mention about the size of data processed for the bank transactions case you presented? Ramon?
Yeah, okay, yeah. The size of the data processed for that, for the data for the bank transaction, it was, I don't remember exactly the amount, but it was all the bank transactions from 100 of bank offices in a period of 6 months.
Great. One more question. In case you need further explanation, please type or raise your hand. And
I was seeing a question from Nuria.
Exactly, yes.
That she says, you have presented many tools, components. What is the usage model of the complete solutions? Will be accessible as a self-service? Yeah. I can share my screen again, probably.
Okay.
Let me 1 second.
I will stop sharing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it probably wasn't so clear. But if you go, this is the I-BiDaaS platform. Okay. Oh, sorry. This is the I-BiDaaS platform. Okay. So and this is how you enter. You enter this platform and you have different options. Okay, and in our case, well, here, for example, as a self-service mode, you can have different algorithms that you can apply to your data set, for example, already available. In the expert mode, you can create your own project with your code that you can upload. And what I have shown for this webinar was the co-develop mode that we have here, also different use cases that was custom tailored during the project. Okay, but all of it is a self-service platform. Okay, and as I show here, for example, this is the use case that we have been working, and you can add a new experiment and do all the things that I have done. And but it was not the only one. We have here then the second part of the same use case, that is the stream processing. Okay, so it was also here integrated in the platform, and you can also go for the advanced, the second use case that I have explained. It wasn't integrated here yet because we are still finishing it, and we have it here in the expert mode. But this use case, Okay, so here's the analysis that we have done. Okay, and here you have a link when you proceed, you have a link for the visualization apart from the download file. Okay, here isn't yet the link, but we will integrate this with the advanced visualization for some of the use cases. So this will be also available. This visualization will be also available and integrated with the self-service solution. Okay, I don't know if it's clearer now. Is it, Nuria?
Yes.
Okay.
She replied that, yeah, it's not clear. Okay, so I don't see any other questions. I don't see any hands. So in that case, and since we are run out of time, again, I would like to thank our speakers, BigDataStack and Track and Know for their collaboration. And of course, I would like to thank you all for being here with us. Have a nice afternoon and stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Despina. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.